Yes, this is Audible Thinking Podcast, and you're listening to your host, Audible. And today, I just want to talk about recent, I almost said recent events, because let's be honest, there's a lot going on in the world today, right now. I am not here for that right now, though, and I think we all know what's going on, and for some reason we there's those of us that have different opinions about that stuff, which is natural. It's a human trait, quality, whatever you want to call it. But whatever the case, I don't want to start anything, so I will not speak on that. But I will speak on certain things that have been transpiring with my stream and some of the reasons why I haven't been streaming. And it hasn't been anything serious, so to speak. It's been more so just, well, in addition to like just depression from things that's going on in the world, but more so is technical issues, right? It's been technical problems with my streaming setup. Now, you guys have probably heard me talk about gaming on PC and how nice it is. And you've probably heard others talk about that as well. If you go on my podcast history, you will see some audio that I captured while talking about PC gaming, right? And the benefits of PC gaming. So go check that out when you get done listening to this specific episode. There has been a lot of news since I've actually done a podcast, from the PlayStation announcement and price, to the Xbox announcement and prices, to the new graphics cards from Nvidia. There has been a lot. There's been a lot of gaming related news that has been put out. And I hope I'm not distorting. And I haven't done not one thing, not one piece of content on that, on those news, or on that gaming news or what have you, because, and I'm working, by the way, I'm working and recording. So if you hear like my phone go off, or like me typing, like I'm working. Shh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anyone I'm working. I hope all this comes out good and you can hear everything. But yes, I did not divulge in making content on that because I feel like our community, and when I say our community, I mean the gaming community, and specifically the community and circles that I am in. I think that we have done a very thorough and diligent job at making videos and content and talking about these announcements. And typically these announcements they're done so fast that I don't really have a chance to be a part of the news break. So it ultimately comes out as old news. So anyway, yes, I did not divulge in making content or new content. Because everybody had already made videos upon videos about these topics. So I felt I would be behind the ball. And I work so hard and I work so much that I don't really have time to really sit down and make a video and edit it out. There's some people that know how to do that very quickly and efficiently. And I may or may not be one of those individuals. My opinion on the new gaming news, right? In a nutshell, I am going to primarily stick with PC for now, because I see the cost benefit of owning a PC. First of all, you guys know from many videos that we've done that you've listened to, you know my position on this. The visual performance of a game above 60 frames per second, at 120 frames per second, at 150 frames per second, even at a lower resolution, is so different than what I've ever been used to in my life. And I am currently caught in the chase of obtaining a stable frame rate that's high, right? So I'm caught in that. I'm chasing that. Anything that is 60 or below, I don't really care for it. And before it didn't matter to me. But now that I've seen what games are capable of doing, it makes me chase that ultimate optimum experience even more. It's expensive for sure, but that is where I am. That's my goal, is to chase the ever so elusive, perfect, optimal experience in PC gaming. Now, with that being said, the Xbox Series S would probably be my choice if I were going to go with a console. Right now, if I were to look at something, if I were to base my decision on the present day right now, it would be a Series S, because I don't have a 4K TV. Well, I do actually, but even if I used the 4K TV, it would not be, I don't think it would be worth it, because I feel like the frame rates would dip, the gameplay. I mean, I don't want to play on my 4K TV because of lag and other factors that would hinder my gameplay experience. So I have no need to play on a 4K TV. I actually have a 2K monitor, and that's what I choose to use for my gaming experience. So the 1S would be plenty at 1440p. It would be plenty for me. Now, the only drawback to that would be performance. because you have to, I believe the Series X would outperform the Series S, obviously, because it has to push out 4K 60 or 4K 30, whatever it's going to do. Which takes more processing power, which leads me to believe that a Series X would easily do 1440p. In fact, it may do higher frame rates than what this Series S would do at 1440p. So if I had the money, it would probably go to a Series X. But I don't have a lot of money, which makes me have to choose on what I want to buy. Even today, Xbox dropped the Seagate 1 terabyte peripheral for the Xbox Series X, and I don't know if that is also for the Series S or not, but it was just shown for the Series X. It was also the same color as the Series X, so I'm assuming it was made for the Series X alone, which would add another $219 on top of the, I believe, $499 price tag. I think it's $499. Let me double check that to make sure. Yes, $499. So you're looking at about $700 ish without tax. Before you even get to another game and Game Pass and all the other stuff that you would buy. So you're looking at about $1,000 by the end at the end of the day. You're looking at about $1,000, which is fine. I don't really have $1,000 to drop at one time for that experience, but I do have a cool $300-400, maybe $500 to spend on a graphics card later down the road, and incremental improvements to the PC that I can make. Now I may end up spending more eventually on my PC at the end of the day, like ultimately, but I also have a really good experience on the PC as a result of my improvements. A substantial experience on PC, which is why I'm chasing that experience and why it's more cost effective for me, because I can make incremental changes instead of purchasing a device and peripherals and things for $1,000 up front at one time, because I'm going to want it at one time. Whereas I can make improvements and kind of take my purchases at my own pace with the PC, and just ultimately get a good experience with it down the road, as I make those improvements that I can afford. And it's not to say I'm not trying to make the argument that PC is better than console. It's just with my I have a checking and a savings, and I have to move. Say that's kind of where I'm at. So I can kind of make those changes as I go, get things that I can afford, save money here and there, make those changes when I feel like I want to make them, and arrive at the same result or even better. So that's the route I'm taking now. The PlayStation looks really good too. There's a lot of games that are exclusive to PlayStation that I want to try, like Ratchet and Clank. the new Horizon Zero Dawn, the new God of War that was just announced, which I think will be delayed, but you know, that's besides the point. There's a new God of War coming sooner than later. So there are a lot of games I believe PlayStation has to offer that are console buyers. Truthfully, console buyers. Or console sellers, I guess I should say. So I'm keeping my eye out for them. But for right now, I'm looking at two things. The PC or PC gaming and Cyberpunk 2077. That is the one game that I am excited about, looking forward to. And this is the thing with Cyberpunk, and I don't want to just overblow Cyberpunk, but this is the thing with Cyberpunk. They are giving us so much content before the game even came out. They are extremely confident in the product that they are developing in CD Projekt Red. They're giving us so much content, it makes me believe that there's a lot of there's so much content in the game that they're able to give us a lot of content up front before we even play it. That's how confident they are in the amount of content that they have built into their game, which makes me very excited. I'm kind of skeptical about it though, because I don't know if the graphics will be what I envisioned them being. Given the fact that they released the specs, or the minimum specs for this game, and they were pretty low. And even the recommended specs are less than what I have in my PC now, which is not much. So that kind of says two things to me. Either the game is really well optimized, or the game's not going to be graphically, taxing on the PC, which also means that this probably gonna it's not gonna have a lot of graphics with it. You know what I mean? So where does that leave me? I'm currently upgrading my PC so that by the time I guess first quarter or second quarter of next year, I can purchase a 3080 or a 3090 next year. That's my plan. So my plan right now is to upgrade my PC slowly and get it ready for the next card that I'm going to buy. My next purchase will be a Ryzen 9 3900X. That's going to be the next biggest purchase or biggest upgrade that I will add to my PC. Another PSG will be added to the PC as well. Possibly more RAM, even though I probably don't need it. Before the next graphic card comes, right? So there's that. Now, with all that being said, this is the meat, or the reason why I decided to start recording this morning or this afternoon, and that's because PC gaming can be the most aggravating thing on the face of this planet. And it's not necessarily even PC gaming, it's just streaming PC gaming. It can be the most aggravating thing on the face of this planet, and that's the reason why I haven't been streaming. is because I've been toiling and tinkering and fixing and testing all for every day for the past month, trying to get my streams to work. So let me rewind. Let me tell you guys a story. When I first started streaming, I didn't know much at all. I had a laptop and I had no clue about processing power. I hardly knew anything about RAM. I didn't know anything about PC parts, nothing. When I started streaming, I kid you not, I was probably streaming, I was outputting the stream at 480p. Like SD, like it wasn't even high definition. It was like SD, standard definition, 480p, fuzzy, pixelated. I mean, it was bad. And one day, I have it on my YouTube. You guys probably don't realize I have a YouTube, but I have a YouTube that I haven't, that's collecting dust. And I've stored those videos or those streams on YouTube for journalistic purposes, for things like this, just to show how far I've come from, and just to show my first ever streams. But I was streaming Sea of Thieves and Monster Hunter World at 480p at like 1000 bit rate. Like, it was insane. My internet was not capable at all. My PC wasn't capable at all. It was terrible, right? And obviously I could not do that until I got an Elgato capture card. Honestly, I don't know how I started streaming, because I don't remember having that card the whole time I streamed. So I'm not sure what method I used. I'm sure it was something crazy. I think I might have streamed over my network somehow, to be honest with you. But it wasn't NDI, it was something different, I think. It was something weird. Like, I was trying to use like Xbox streaming to, you know how you can stream to another device, or you can capture the video, or you can see the video from another device and stream it over your network. That's what I was doing, and I was capturing it, I believe, in OBS, and then trying to, I mean, it was just, it was it was not it. But that's how I started. And then I moved from that to a PC that I bought, which I thought was capable of streaming. Of course, I did all kinds of online tests. I researched, I went to Reddit, and this is the thing. If you're starting out, when you research how to stream and you research minimum requirements to stream, be aware that whatever you choose to do, and I'm just now realizing this today, okay? So tip number one, when you research on ways to stream or ways to game or what have you, there's always a setback. There's always something. It's a compromise. There's always a compromise. And if you're not looking for compromises, you won't know it until it hits you, right? For example, let's just say you decide that you do want to stream, and you decide that you want to use an Elgato capture card, and you have everything you need in your PC to actually run the capture card and capture the footage. What they do not tell you is that sometimes things aren't compatible with the card. Even if everything you on your PC in theory should run the card, and you have 3.0 jacks, you have everything that you need in order to communicate with the card, there is still a chance that you will run into an issue with the card. And it has nothing to do with the console. If you're streaming from a console, if you're using the Elgato capture card from the console, which now you can stream from your console, like straight from your console. But in order to use OBS and things like that, you have to have, or an option is to have a capture card, typically in a one that's external. That you have to use in order to capture your information to send it out and broadcast it. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes these cards have issues. Sometimes they don't tell you that you can run into audio issues. Sometimes they don't tell you that even if you're using a 3.0 USB and you have a 3.0 USB hub, that you might not, that card may not work with your motherboard. You might not have enough power to power your USB hub in addition to the Elgato capture card. You might not have the right setup. You might have a cord malfunction. You might have a hardware malfunction with the card. Your card may work better with Intel or better with NVIDIA than AMD or something. It may like one brand over the other or one infrastructure over the other. You never know. And that's what they don't tell you. That's the things that you have to figure out on your own. And back in 2017, 2018, that's what I had to figure out. But again, it didn't dawn on me. I thought that if I bought it, it would work right out the box. Plug and play, no questions asked. And that is not the case. So I bought an Optiplex. I forgot what model number it was, but it was an Optiplex. I even forgot the specs. It's in my shed right now. Deconstructed. But I bought that to see if I could stream or broadcast my streams from that. And it was a pretty good computer. It was better than any computer I have ever had. But the problem with that PC was that it did not handshake well with my Elgato capture card at all. My card would shut off. It would fail. It would disconnect. It would not recognize my capture card. it would recognize it and then reject it, recognize it and then reject it. Randomly, I would be streaming and it would just fail. It would just fail during the stream. Fail right in the middle of the stream. My stream would just go black because my card wouldn't work. And I spent so many months. I spent the remainder of that year just trying to figure out why this external capture card would not do its job. It was USB. It was USB 3.0. I had that. I had USB 3.0 in the PC. I tried every method, every troubleshooting technique in the book for this card. I changed out every single driver. I did the most. I did it all. And yet, it would not work. And so I struggled. I struggled. And for a long time, there were times where I just did not stream because I couldn't. And I wanted to so bad. And thankfully, by the grace of God, I had two friends literally gift me a gaming PC. Which had a 1060 in it, a 650 PSU, Prime X470, I think is what it is, motherboard with a Ryzen 1700. They gave me that, and at the time, I did not know what to do with this PC other than to use it to stream. That was my dedicated streaming computer. And let me tell you, it worked wonders. I put my capture card, I hooked my capture card up with this PC, and it worked beautifully. I didn't have any issues at all streaming. And that's when I realized as far as like capturing video, I didn't have any issues. And that's when I realized that sometimes it depends on your setup. Depending on your setup, you may or may not be able to stream. But maybe it's not the card. Maybe it's what you have in the PC. Or maybe it's incompatibility issues. So that's when I realized that. Okay. Now, fast forward, I started getting into PC gaming and thought, this is pretty nice. It looks really nice. I'm getting 60 frames per second in games that I didn't before, and it looks beautiful. It's smooth, and this is all before I purchased a monitor that's 144 hertz and can be overclocked to 165. So I thought that was a beautiful thing, and I thought, I don't even have to have a subscription to play multiplayer games online. I can put all my games on this PC, and all I gotta do is click a button and play all these games that I've played before, all these new games that are coming out at a better resolution and a better frame rate. I have all I need right here. And then I bought this monitor, and that's what changed the game. And that's where I'm at now, is chasing high fidelity and high frame rates at the most affordable price point. The problem with this is streaming my gameplay from my PC. That is the bane of my streamer existence. Is trying to stream this gameplay. And that's the reason why I haven't been streaming, because remember that capture card, the Elgato HG60S that I mentioned before? Using that as a extended monitor to capture my gameplay. It, first and foremost, okay, let me back up. If you have a mixed refresh rate setup with 2 monitors, you are subjugated to the lowest refresh rate that you have. So if you have or resolution that you have, and refresh rate. So if you have a 1080p BenQ monitor like I have, and a Predator that's 1440p 165 hertz overclocked, if you try to stream and put this and monitor the stream on your secondary monitor, you're going to be playing 60 frames or below. There's not a way around it. It is what it is. It will lock your game frame rate at 60 frames per second if you're using your Elgato capture card as a way to stream. Now I know you're saying, why do you need an Elgato capture card if you're using your PC to stream? Well, you can look this up. You can look all of this stuff up. But basically, you need a way to capture the footage in OBS to broadcast it. And you need a way to monitor it. Well, you can do a display capture, but display capture will cap your frame rate. You can duplicate your monitor to an Elgato capture card and then run that back through. If you're using an external one, and run that through back to your PC, it's going to capture 1080p 60. That is the resolution and speed of your external capture card. If you try to send that the same way through to another PC, it'll do the same thing. So sending information to your Elgato capture card that's external will ultimately have you playing at 60 frames per second or below. It doesn't make any sense, but this is my experience. This is my experience in the past. And so what happens is you have to find a way, or I had to find a way to bypass that. How in the world can I enjoy my games and share them at the same time? How can I play the games at the resolution that I want to play them at and share them while I'm playing? Because let's be honest, if I'm not enjoying the experience of the game, then my audience won't. And it's doable. it's doable to have a high refresh rate primary monitor playing on it and then streaming that information or broadcasting that information to the public. It's very possible to do that in a way that you're not compromising your frame rate and your audience is not compromised on their experience in sharing that game with you. And they're not compromised by what they're seeing online because it's smooth. There's ways to do that. The issue is finding out how. And what makes that journey difficult is just the hiccups and the different little tweaks that don't allow you to do fully what you want to do. If that makes any sense. So back to the 2 PC setup. When I tried to hook up my Elgato capture card to my PC, my secondary PC that I just built, new parts, the works, guess what happens? My Elgato capture card is failing, and it was doing the same thing it was doing when I had my Optiplex that I tried to stream off of. The streaming PC is significantly better than the Optiplex in every way. It's built using brand new parts, an i5 Coffee Lake, I think it's 8400, I think it's 8400. It's a Coffee Lake i5, 16 gigs of RAM. I did not put a graphics card in there because I was going to stream off of my X264, right? Plus I didn't have the money to get a graphics card too on top of that. And I was going to wait until I got the new graphics card for my gaming PC and then move the graphics card from my gaming PC to the streaming PC, because I didn't want to have to buy 2 graphics cards knowing I'm going to upgrade eventually anyway. So that's why I didn't do it yet. So the capture card began to act like it did when I had my Optiplex, and I was not happy. And for the past few weeks, I've been trying my best to stream, and I was not able to. Then someone told me about NDI. Shout out to Westside, a good friend from mine I know from back home, who said, well, why don't you try NDI? And I looked it up and thought, this sounds promising. I think I'll try that. I tried it. The first night I tried it, I didn't have any audio. Second night I tried it, I was able to find out how to run the audio. But the problem I then had after that was my gameplay frames per second from my gaming PC would drop about 25 to 30% when I ran OBS, because you have to have OBS open on your gaming PC in order to push that information over to the streaming PC, which also has the same program that's receiving the information from the gaming PC. Well, having OBS open I guess in general, or having the program open in general, is making me drop frames. Now remember, I'm in the chase for high fidelity and high frame rate. But NDI is not supposed to affect the gaming experience at all. And that's what I've been told. So I realized last night while I was playing The Division, shout out to everybody that attended that stream. What I realized was that every time I turned on OBS and I was gaming, lo and behold, I would drop frames like crazy. So I realized that I needed to do what I originally had planned to do, and that is to get an AverMedia internal capture card. 4K, by the way. And so I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see how my billing comes out before I do it. And I'm going to add some money that I've saved, and I'm going to do it. And hopefully it'll be in by Saturday this week. So, long story short, if you really want to know about PC gaming, just know that with the increase in options and the increase in reward in what you're seeing, there are some pitfalls to this. And those pitfalls, ladies and gentlemen, are technical difficulties. You may not necessarily see it if you just stream. If you just game, right? You might not see it if you just game. But if you were to decide to stream it, that is the problem. For me, I can't speak for everyone else, but for me, that was the issue. So in that respect, yes, it's better to stream from like use your console and plug it into the Elgato capture card if you have it, and then stream from that. But if you don't have a PC that's capable or compatible with the capture card that you have, you're going to be dead in the water. So the moral of that story is make sure that you do your research, and look up problems with the product. I literally had to go in the other night and look up problems with AverMedia internal capture card. There's already people talking about audio issues. So I'm anticipating there being some kind of audio issue with this capture card, but at least I can stream. And there was supposedly a patch that fixed it too already from AverMedia. But anyway, I hope that this podcast episode enlightened you in any way. I hope that you enjoyed it. Again, this was a very impromptu discussion or talk that I decided to have, and I am talking very low, even though it may come out loud in the end. But I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please follow me on Twitch, Awedible. I stream just about every night during the week when I can at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. If I don't stream, you know what's happening. So give me a follow on Twitter as well, Awedible. You can type that in the search bar and you will be able to find me and add me from there. But ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I bid you adieu.